Good day, guys. How are we all doing? How are we doing this beautiful Wednesday afternoon? So I thought most of the times I usually come with trade recaps of only winning trades. So I thought today let me do a quick trading recap of a trade which I actually lost. So maybe we can have one or two things which we can learn. So this was a German 40 setup in the morning, London session, and we came to the charts. We noticed we had this tight consolidation, a bit of a stop hunt here, and we had this impulsive move. So we're basically looking for a continuation here, and that was confirmed by a TDI squeeze which we had. We had a tiny shark fin here, which was confirming this particular stop hunt. So remember, a shark fin, if you see a shark fin on your TDI, usually it always confirms a stop hunt on your chart. So if you see a shark fin and lines up with a stop hunt, just know you're in the right trade. So that's exactly what we saw in the morning, and we decided to go long on this particular setup. So the main thing we're looking for was this particular pin bar here, since we had seen a squeeze here. So basically we had a squeeze and a breakout to the top side, which was this one. So the only thing we wanted was a retracement, a confirming candle, an entry, and for us to actually hold the trade for longs. That was the trade idea for this particular setup, and our stop loss was below this low here. So I think I had a runner in here, if I'm not mistaken, with my stop loss initially here. Then after this week happened, I added a position after the close of this inside bar, with my stop loss moved from here to here, and the new stop loss also put below this week. So this is an example, like I said, of a failed pattern or a failed trade setup. So what eventually ended up happening is price came back, closed back below the zone, and it's just like melted. It literally ran all the way down. So I didn't really bother to change my bias. I was like, you know what, let me just leave it. We'll see the charts in the afternoon. So before I go into it, I just want to show you guys something. So let's quickly go into our trading course. Check out the results. Today is Feb 19th. I want to show you the trading idea I had. And again, I'll actually advise you guys to join our mentorship. So let me pause right here. So I'm going to play and pause so that we can read. So you can see this is basically our mentorship group. And if I've got a setup, I literally share everything, like literally candle to candle, because we only like focus usually on one setup at a time. So you can see German 40 M15, we have a squeeze plus a breakout of the TDI to the top side. This shows a probability. Remember, it's probability. This is not definite. It's just probabilities. That's why we trade with risk, right? We try to use proper risk because these are probabilities we're trading. So this showed a probability of buys are high. If M15 gives any form of a pin bar, or any of the four candlesticks we look for, it's game over. So I just basically try to update uh, the members in the mentorship community to what I'm seeing on the particular setup. So price points, I was also looking for price to touch 23,000 if the setup stays valid. So remember, there is always a room for error. There is always room that price will do what price does, which is go the other way. So if the setup was valid, we're anticipating price to touch 23,000 is discussed. It's something we've been discussed in time. Let's just skip some of the stuff I was mentioning here. Okay, M15, we have a fresh fair value gap above yesterday's high. Right, I'm going to speak on this fair value gap. Maybe if you are taking notes, it will also help you because the way I use fair value gaps, it's either it validates a trend by giving a retest, or it invalidates a setup and gives you a setup on the other side by giving you an inversion fair value gap or an inverted fair value gap. I'll explain to you just now on the charts. So basically, this is how we were looking at it. And you can see this was my entry. This was my trade. I think it's going to zoom in here. You can see this was my trade, just as explanation. And I was also waiting with a buy stop if price had pushed up, definitely it was going to be a high probability. And if you look on the bottom, okay, I hope this is being shared, guys. Okay, maybe let me use a different player and just explain again. I remember I had a certain scenario whereby I played media like this and it did not show. So let's do it like this. Okay, fine. So this is basically what I'm talking about. So you can see German 40, we have a squeeze. I'm just going to repeat in case the first part was not recording. We have a squeeze plus a breakout of the TDI to the top side. You can see all the notes here, right? And this is our mentorship group. You need to be in this group to access this particular level of information which I drop. So for every setup we have, we try to drop as much information as we can so that the members can also take notes. Because remember, price action, whatever happens today can happen tomorrow, can happen next month, can happen in the next 3 months. So all these notes simply help. So let's just scroll down a bit. This is the setup ahead. It's going to show just now. You can see this was the setup and the TDI squeeze. I'm sure you can see it there, like I explained. Today's setup had a potential to play out exactly like this, but it failed. Okay, this is the after the trade. I also try to come and give you notes on how to best how do I put it? How to best approach a losing setup or a losing trade. So through our mistakes, that's how we actually perfect the skill. So you can see once it's running, you should know what to look for. This was just like notes and what to look for and stuff, but I'll give you guys a bit of a glimpse. Okay, let's see. Remember TDI squeeze by the time. Okay. These are just the mentorship notes in the group which I share based on the setup we had. So let me quickly show you the result of that trade as well before we come back to the charts. Let me actually use this. There's a lot of things here. All right, so the trade, this was the trade. So you can see my entries right here. The first entry I had, then price, I allowed price to retrace. I was waiting for this particular pin bar. So as soon as I got the wick, I was already in anticipation of what was happening or what was going to happen. So I added a position and my buy stop was above here. Then my stop loss was right below that wick. So you can see price actually came, took me out. So whilst we're here, I would advise if you are wrong in a trade, do not hesitate to cut your loss like this because most of the people usually hold and wait for price to turn. What this simply does is it starts eating up into your capital, eats up into your capital. And as you see here, there was not even a retracement whatsoever. Price continued literally to melt. I think there was a 200 points drop here, if I'm not mistaken. So imagine holding a 200 drop or a 200 points loss waiting for price to pull back. This only ends up frustrating you. So if you're in a bad trade, make sure your trade has got a stop loss, number one. Number two, make sure you cut your loss if you are wrong. That's what I wanted to say mainly here. And if you scroll down, you see there's the TDI here. This is the squeeze I was talking about. This is the breakout showing that we are buying. So at this point, we're anticipating the TDI to continue pushing up, but it literally gave an opposite. So we're actually caught on a stop hunt on the other side. So remember, I mentioned we had a stop hunt on the bottom side. If you see a shark fin, it usually shows a stop hunt. So they literally like gave another shark fin to the top. So we were actually caught up in a stop hunt to the top side. So I thought let me mention this because we're always talking about winners. Today, let's talk about losses. So we took a loss on this particular trade. So the price eventually broke out to the other side and they did not give any potential re-entry for us. So we just let that trade go. So again, coming from our notes, what I also wanted to highlight is, okay, not this. Um, it's actually here what I wanted to show. Okay, let me do this. Okay, I'm gonna stop the sharing a bit. Let's see. Okay, there's something I wanted to show you guys. Oh, okay, I remembered where it is. I just remembered. Okay, share. Right, there we go. So I wanted to show you guys this. This is what we were anticipating. We had this squeeze at Asian. These are just some of my notes. You can see this was January 7th. So after a TDI squeeze, right, you want your price to break out to the top of the volatility bands to show you that you're pushing up like this. Then you want them to retrace into the 13 and give you a pin bar. If you see this setup at any day, I always advise do not hesitate to enter, because most of the times, 80% of the times, the trade will actually give you a very nice push to the upside. The only thing which happened today is the setup failed. So price ended up actually, they tried to push up, but then they failed and they started pushing to the downside. But more times than less, the price will actually give you a squeeze. They will just continue pushing up. So this is something I wanted to mention. And these are all the things which we drop in the mentorship group. These are all the things we drop in the course as well. So if you're trading with us, just know that you are in safe hands. All these notes, we share them per setups. So this was just a quick example of a losing trade. And one thing I wanted to add in terms of fair value gaps here is, remember on my notes, I mentioned we had a fair value gap right here, this fair value gap or this imbalance here when the price first pushed up. So if you should take note of this. So if price is playing around the previous day's high, so you want to see yesterday's high. If price is playing around the area and they give you an imbalance like this, if they come back below that imbalance, just know again, 80% of the times that fair value gap will become inverted, or it will become an inverted or an inversion fair value gap. And if you get your close back below the 13, there is higher probability that your price will drop down all the way to the previous day's low. This is what you're going to use as your TP. So I thought, let me just throw this out. If you want this information in greater detail, you guys should actually join our mentorship group, or you should actually purchase the course, because I speak on those things in greater detail. So simply, if prices on yesterday's high and you get an imbalance with this particular stop hunt here, or this liquidity sweep, whatever you call it, two things will happen. Either price will bounce on the fair value gap and actually push up like what we were anticipating, or they'll break back below that fair value gap and they'll actually retest it, then they'll melt. You can backtest these things on whatever you trade. I would love you guys to backtest. Let me know what you think. Get in touch with me on WhatsApp. Send me screenshots of you backtesting or where you would have seen this setup actually happening. But I'm telling you, in a week, if you've got a watch list of about 2 or 3 things, you definitely see this setup showing up multiple times. So you can just get in touch with me if you want to share your trading ideas. If you need help, then you can join our mentorship community. It's a paid mentorship community. There is a fee for that. And you can also purchase the 2025 Day Trading Mastery course, which also comes with a free month of mentorship. And our mentorship is paid on a monthly basis. But if you purchase the course, you get a free month of mentorship. But if you just want mentorship, then it will be paid on a month to month basis. And all you need basically is like 3 months of mentorship to actually improve your trading. So that's it from me today, guys. London session was actually a loss. We took, I think it was a 2% loss, actually, if I'm not mistaken. We took a 2% loss in total, because we had 1% on this particular setup and I had another setup on the side which I took, which I didn't share. So in total, we took a 2% loss. So most likely we are done for the day, either done for the day or done for the day on this particular account, because we trade multiple accounts. So I thought I should just share with you guys a losing day. We always share wins. So for starters, let's share our losses also. Maybe someone can learn something. So if you learned something from this video and if you watched until the end, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Comment what you learned from this video. If you traded something else, please let us know what you traded, whether it was a win or a loss. Let us know what you're also looking forward to trade today on the New York session. And Until the next video, enjoy the rest of your day. Good trading.